I started working with tape, discovered tape loops, and I felt at that time, I'm going to spend the rest of my life making tapes. I've got to get back to instrumental music. Someone, I think it might have been Phil Glass, said to me, why don't you do a piece with drums? You're a drummer. I thought, And while I was at Juilliard, there was a percussion student who did a recital piece which involved bongos, stand-mounted, played with sticks. But I thought the sound were, wow, and they're tuned, you can tune them. The way I was composing in those days, interested in this technique, was to record myself and then play back against that recording to figure out what phase position, what speed to do it, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That was how drumming began as a piece. At the very beginning of drumming, how does it begin? It begins bum, ba-dum, ba-da-dum, ba-da-dum, bum, ba-da-dum, ba-dum, ba-da-dum, ba-dum, ba-da-dum, ba-dum, bum, ba-da-dum. You have a cycle of 12 beats, of which only one is played, and then you simply substitute sound for silence, beats for rests. But the reverse can be done as well. This was a way of changing a rhythmic pattern instead of changing something, just literally building it down to something and then reconstructing it. Drumming is actually a very clearly four-movement piece, even though it's played continuously without pause. It's for tuned bongo drums, played with sticks. I'm mounted on stands. The second movement, again continuously, is for 3 marimbas played by up to 9 different players. And the third movement is for 3 glockenspiels played by usually no more than 4 players and doubled with piccolo and whistling. The last movement is simply taking all of that together and bringing it all together for a fourth movement, a finale, and in a rather traditional way, in a very untraditional setting. It has been suggested that drumming is primarily about pattern, and it certainly is about pattern, but I would say it's primarily about melodic pattern. And without that melodic interest, this piece would be a failure. As I was working with the bongos, the range of pitch was from G below middle C to a fifth above. I thought to myself, what if I were to move up, continue this process, but with clearly pitched instruments? What if I had marimbas picking up the exact same pitches of the drums and then gradually moving up the keyboard of the marimba? And I thought, a 3-octave marimba goes up 3 octaves, so I think it's from F below middle C, 3 octaves from there. And we got up near the top of that, and I thought, wait a minute, what if we just go further, all the way up to the point where you really can't hear anymore? And the glockenspiel was there, sure enough, so that you could double the notes on the top of the marimba at the bottom of the glockenspiel, and then proceed upward to the point when human hearing becomes very unclear. So I began to think, well, the timbre really sounds very silvery, very so like a piccolo. Let's get a piccolo. So the idea of starting low and gradually moving up the instrument, which gives you a drastically, by the time you play something on the bottom, the time you get to the top of the marimba by itself, it seems like another instrument. It seems like and you have that feeling of just, you're up north. Then you go into the glockenspiel and you feel like you're in an igloo. I mean, it has all kinds of organic, metaphoric effects on people, which are fairly, people were remarkably similar in many ways. I think the ideas that are ingrained in any Western musician are at the basis of drumming, but it's in their application to a new instrumentation and duration, rate of change. The rate of change is enormously slowed down. If you say, wait a minute now, it's like when you're with somebody, say, could you repeat that? Because you want to understand it more clearly. That's why you ask something to be repeated. So if something is repeated not mindlessly, but with intent, and then you'll hear things that are unpredictable, that are really there. So it calls for kind of listening to something which really exists and gives you the time to explore it that would otherwise not be available. I think drumming is built on rather solid and well-tested territory applied in a new way, which I think is the key to successful innovation in music throughout history.